Hello everyone, welcome to this new memoQ webinar. I'm Damien from memoQ's marketing team and I will be the host of this webinar. As you might have seen on the screen, there is a small change for today's session as our presenter will finally be Agnes Varga, software developer at memoQ. In this session, Agnes will present you all you need to know about our latest release, memoQ 9.0. This presentation will last approximately 30 minutes, plus an additional 10 more minutes for questions at the end. If you have any questions during this session, you can write them down during the session, in the questions and answers panel. The webinar is being recorded and you will be able to find it on our website as well as on our YouTube channel in a few days. Now it's time for me to let Agnes start this session. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen now, and you will see, hopefully, my presentation. So just as Damien said, my name is Agnes Varga, and I'm a software developer at memoQ. And in fact, this is my 7th year here, and I'm really happy to show you the new values that we have added to memoQ in this new release. I guess, can you hear me okay? I asked this first question.
I can hear you well.
Okay. And the way I want to show you this new functionality is from your perspective, because even though we at memoQ think in themes usually, like terminology, QA, machine translation, etc., and we also group our work along these lines, you as project managers, translators, reviewers, etc., you work in a different workflow, and then this is how we are going to look at the new features now. And I have to, yes, I've been showing my Zoom screen until now. And those of you who attended memoQ Fest, I don't know if you're here. If some of you are here, you've heard most of it, what I'm going to say now, but now we are going to have live demonstrations of the features and not just the videos. And so let's go on and see this workflow. And this is the overview of the workflow I want to concentrate on. You start something, and then you do something with memoQ, and then whoops, now you're done. But just to add a little bit more detail, first you need some technical preparation that you need to do to be able to start even the work. You have to get your tools and equipment in shape. And then when you have all these ready and up and running, and then you can start preparing for your projects and your work. You need to get some people to work with, and you prepare your documents and your translation memories and term bases, etc. And when this is done, then you can start managing your actual projects. You can give instructions to your team members and also assign work to them. And when everyone knows what their job is and what they have to do, then the translation and the review can start, and the participants will also communicate with each other. When they are finished with the translation, there's also some more work to be done to check your project, to clean up, and then close this work, and then of course you can start a new one, or even in the meantime you've already started a new one. So let's start with this technical preparation first. We have taken some steps towards the future, and you might also need to take some to be up to date and use memoQ 9. So let's look because we have to go with the flow, because the world is changing, and we want to react to these changes. And the first thing that we did as a technical thing is to upgrade to a newer version of the memoQ of the Microsoft.NET framework, and this is the 4.7.2 version. And this came out a bit more than a year ago, and we decided to stay up to date and make use of its advantages. And this is just a technical change that will allow us as the company and developers to use the new features that Microsoft offers. And also this will give you better performance and better support of high resolution displays, and also better security. And you really don't need to be afraid of this, because this .NET framework is supported on Windows 7 Service Pack 1, on Windows 8.1, Windows 10, and then Windows Server 2008. and up. And you can check these requirements on the Microsoft website. And the other thing we decided to do is to support only 64-bit version of operating systems of Windows practically. And this change will reduce the installer size and also the install time by up to 50%, so half the time. And you can also take advantage of all your memory if you have more than 4 gigabytes. So this is also a plus for you. And the other reason we decided to do this change is that maintaining all things with the new takes quite a bit of time. We need to write test cases for both versions. Code complexity grows more and more as the two versions getting more and more different, and it also costs money. So this simplification gives us more time to develop actual features that you really need, instead of maintaining different versions of code and using all software development environments and create installers for different systems. But memoQ 8.7 will be supported at least until the end of this year, and you can stay with it until you want to change your old system. And then if you are done with getting your system up and ready, then you can start your preparation for your work. And the first thing is good news for project managers. We understood that since we have these quite frequent new versions and it's quite a hassle to always upgrade, or even worse, you might need to downgrade your client if you work with a server with a different minor version. And we also understand that while a server owner's main focus is stability, a client user can be a bit more adventurous in upgrading. So from version 6, from version 8.6, we changed our perspective, and in version 9, you'll be able to work with any minor versions within the same major version. And I know that this is not a new thing in version 9, but it gains real relevance in this new version because we will start having minor versions from now on. And another reason to be more adventurous for server users is that you can venture a bit further without taking any very serious risks. I don't know if you recognize this picture or if you've watched this movie Free Solo, and it's about how this guy Alex Honnold climbed the 1,100-meter tall wall called El Cap in the Yosemite National Park with any safety equipment. And I had this feeling that for some of you, upgrading to the newest memoQ server seems like free soloing, and you would never even dare to try it. But now we included some safety equipment, so it will be more like a free climbing experience. It's still exciting, but in case of a failure, you won't fall, or at least you won't hit yourself and die. And then now you don't have to choose between just always staying on the ground and never seeing the view, or always climbing and taking risks, but you can kind of compromise and do the exciting climbing and seeing the view, but with less danger. Because the main point is that previously, if you wanted to go back to an earlier version of memoQ server, you could only use the data from your last backup, and you probably lost some work since your last last upgrade. And now you can roll back your server to an earlier minor version without any data loss. Just be aware that from memoQ 9 you can only go back to memoQ 8.7 with the old method. So this will work from memoQ 9.1. And now some drum roll, please, because the big thing in this release is the new memoQ Web PM. And this time is the project management platform, but we won't stop development here. So we'll go on to web trans part. This has been this last year's largest development, and I can say that I really like it, even though I'm not a project manager myself. Just even by looking at the old and the new administration page, you can see the difference in the layout and just the appearance. Here is the old Web PM, because memoQ Web already had a project manager module with lots of functionality, as you can see it here on this screenshot. It really did contain a lot, but it got a bit outdated. If you look at it, you see that everything is there at one place, but it's quite dense and it looks a little bit old-fashioned. So everything is practically here that we included in the new memoQ Web PM, but it's really dense. So let's take a look at the new web interface. And this is just a picture, but we will go live now and see the real memoQ Web. Sorry, this is the client. I have to go here to my memoQ Web interface. And here this is the starting page. I put my username. I just sign in here. And we'll just wait for it, for this nice interface to appear. And here it is. And this first page that I set it is the administration page. This is the equivalent of the old one that we have just seen. And just the layout is very clear. It's a much better structure than the old one. On the left-hand side, you can see this menu, which is very similar to what you have in memoQ and what you got used to. This part, navigation part, is something that you can always see. And up here, there's also a navigation part. So you can always find your way back wherever you had been before. And every functionality has its own separate page. So not everything is cluttered on one single page. And the workflow is pretty intuitive. And as an example, I think we will just create a user and see what it looks like. And here you can see all the users. And it's intuitive that you click add user. I add Bobby translator. His username will be easy Bobby. I'll add his email, and then I can choose the other options. If he can set his own password, I let him. And I can add another user profile here and then change their settings all together in a batch. So I don't need to go through the same settings over and over again. Okay, and I can choose what settings I want him to be able to do, like packages. If he can check out things, I can just allow him to check out or download packages. I can add him to groups. And here you can see only the suggestions, the most popular groups. And then down here, there are even more. I will make him project manager and I think translator. And then I think he speaks English and German really well, so he can translate in both directions. And I just add him. And a big plus, I think, in this interface is that you can select several users at the same time. Like here we have our Bobby, and there have our translator. And here I can edit them together. And I can change their settings at the same time. And I can, for example, choose if I want to leave their language pairs unchanged, or if I want to replace them here with the new ones, or just add them to the ones that are maybe missing. And I can add French and English here. And I will update these two users. So this is a real great advantage. And now that we have our user, we'll go back to our workflow and go back to our translation memories and term bases, because they are also needed in the translation workflow, obviously. So here we had the administration page, and we need our term bases and translation memories. And not to repeat myself, but we will going to see another memoQ Web PM feature, which is new functionality. So this is not just a revamp, but this is added functionality to the old one, because previously you were not able to manage heavy resources on the web. But now we added the two main ones, translation memories and term bases. And you can do the usual operations with these. You can create new TMs or new term bases, and you can add them to projects. You can fill them up with data, import and export. So you can you do the usual stuff with these. And this was a really needed feature in memoQ Web. And then another new thing, which is already connected to project management when you start working on the project itself. And the first thing we want to do is create the project. And this, again, new thing in the memoQ Web PM, that you can create a project from scratch and not just from a template. And let's see how this is done. No, sorry. Somehow this window gets lost, or maybe it's only me who cannot see it. So we will go here on the navigation pane to the projects, and we will say that I want to create a new one. I want an online project, not one from a template, because that was the old option only, and this is the new. I want new project, a webinar. It will be English and German. I could add metadata, but I won't do this. I can set the usual settings that you can for a memoQ online project. You can decide what to do with resources, and if packages are allowed, you can also decide or if you want to include them in the package. And I'm just going to create this project. And the first thing I need to do is to import documents. I have them here. I select them. I can select them here. Like browse, or I could just drop these documents here. And here I can change the filter configuration, and I will just do the import. I have my documents here, and I can also do other operations that the project manager needs to do, and the navigation is up here. For example, in the people pane, I can add users to this project. Here's I want to look for Bobby. I added recently. Here he is, or I could look for him. I just add him in all the roles. I apply, but you can also assign jobs to people who are not added to the languages and roles, but this will help in automatic assignment. I will just assign jobs to this my user. This will be Bobby. I will assign him all the documents. I could choose between this document, all German documents, or all the documents, and I will add him also as a reviewer. Even though he's a translator, he will be able to do this job. And I can add resources to this project. Here I can choose between translation memories and term basis view. I can add one existing here, or I can create one. I can add the term base, this one, and I can just launch this project. And the translators can start working on it. It's launched, and when they are working in this overview panel, I can see how their progress and what they have done so far. Obviously, they haven't done anything yet. And if we go back to our workflow, we've seen that we have imported documents here in this project, but the big thing about document import is what we are going to see here. The first improvement is that you can use the latest InDesign version and for importing InDesign files. And the big thing is the filter configuration selector that has changed quite a bit and can save you quite many clicks compared to the old one. And we will look at it, how this works in memoQ now. And this is in the memoQ client. I have a project with 2 target languages. Here we see that, German and Hungarian. And I have already 3 documents already imported into the German language. And I will show you how this looks like. The main point, I will just import document structure, so will have more documents. And memoQ processes these documents now, and here it is. Here's this new filter configuration selector window. First thing that you see immediately, that the documents are grouped now by document type, and you can change the grouping. I will show this to you later. But first, I will want to show this to you that here, as long as we remember, we already had these two documents, 1 and 2, in the project for the German language. And if you select the operation, what you want to do with it, because by default this will be imported as new. But here memoQ shows a little warning that to this language the file will be imported as duplicate. And obviously we don't want to have duplicates, so we choose re-import for this document. And it says now, here's a little information sign by Hungarian, and it says that to this language the file will be imported as new, which is correct. We want this document as new in Hungarian. And this is done, and this, as we remember, this document will be re-imported as well. And the other nice thing is how you can change the actual filter configurations. For example, for this colors JSON file, I have a custom one. And I show you how you can change what changed here. First, there's no repetition in this list. The other thing is that the most recently used configuration is on top, so I will choose this one. And the other nice thing is that, first of all, you can change configurations for file types. And also you can search for your configurations. I remember that these are resource files, so they have some kind of resource word in them. And here it is, memoQ resources. I will choose this filter for these 2 documents. And I will leave the rest as default. And the other thing is, here you can see this little warning sign that this is not the default filter for SX files, which is fine. I created a new XML filter for this. And this is also nice that the warning appears where actually the problem is and not at the beginning of the line. A nice thing that you can select many files at the same time and change filter configuration for many. And also here's this change view, what I talked about already, that you can group these documents by file type, the default. You can group them by full path, or you can also choose no grouping like this, the flat view, if you prefer this. I like this file type grouping though. And you can also choose to filter only errors and warnings, and you can deal with these, and you can show the full path. So this is the nice new configuration selector window, and hopefully this really will be of help to you. I will import this, but we don't have to wait for the import actually. And we are done with the import, and we can distribute the documents to our team members in packages. And the change in packages is that previously you could choose what to do with heavy resources like TMs and TBs in the package, but you could do this only in one step, like for all TBs and TMs at the same time. But now you can do this by resource type, like TMs, what to do with TMs, and then what to do with TBs. And then also the new thing is that you can include entire Q term bases in the package, or filtered ones, or you can just link them as remote resources in the package. So this is something new. And now we've prepared the packages, the packages and the projects. Everyone got what they have to do, and now the translation and review process can start. And I don't know if you remember the Hey memoQ app, the dictation or speech recognition app that works with memoQ from an iPhone. And this was released in 8.7, but there are already improvements to it, and you can use the voice commands in these following languages: in Chinese, French, German, Hungarian, Italian, Japanese, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, and Spanish. So I really recommend that you give it a try. And then give us feedback why you like it or why you don't like it. And now that you have dictated to your app, now you can, I guess you want to also talk to your other team members. And this is the new discussions interface in memoQ Web. And even though this is only for project managers, the effects of this revamp have started to ripple down to all other project participants who want to communicate with each other. And even though in the memoQ client these changes are not visible yet, but on the web discussions have changed quite a bit. And not just the interface, but its structure is, I think, getting more understandable. And hopefully this will get into the memoQ client as well. And let's go on with the translation and let some artificial intelligence work. We really don't want to leave our customers behind in this craze for machine translation. because we want you to stay up to date and whatever is required, and that you can do whatever is required. And that's why we keep adding new machine translation plugins and also update the existing ones. For example, the memoQ 9 now supports the latest version of Microsoft's service called Translator Text API version 3. This is the neural machine translation system and supports more than 30 languages. And it also has this nice feature that you can train it yourself from your own data, and you can also share it if you want to. And we updated the DeepL, the Kenta, and the Crossland and Lang and the System plugin, and added the new Mirai Translator TM, which is also a neural system, but it's only mainly for Japanese translators, for Japanese English and Japanese Chinese translators. And if by any chance you want to add your own machine translation plugin, we updated the machine translation software development kit, and now it's a lot easier and more understandable how to do this. And another little addition is you know, that it's not so very easy to configure all these plugins because they need different API keys, different passwords, usernames, whatever. But there's now a separate help page for each of these plugins. And as you are translating, and you might have done your pre-translation with the machine translation, and now this is good news, I think, for project managers and translators as well, that machine translated hits are, or not hits, but segments are separated from fragment assembled segments. The fragment assembled are the purple ones, and the machine translated ones are the yellow ones. And project managers will be able to give clear instructions to the translators about what to do with these segments. And also, if you're a translator, you can easily see yourself and make a difference about what to do with which kind of segment. And another nice little change in the editor, which makes things a little more convenient for you, is in the term details pane, where if you add something here to your metadata, which is a URL, it will become a clickable URL. And also you can decide if you want to copy information about this term. You can copy the selection with the mouse right click, or the term pair info, or the whole entry information. And if you want to see this, this is how it looks like in memoQ. So this is the URL. Here you can copy, and here you have a term, and this is what it looks like here. Just wanted to add the picture too, that you have it here. And then when we are done with translation, there are some more finishing steps, and the improvements we added to this stage is in the area of QA. If you want to check up your translation memories, and correct the errors and warnings, and you want to let your client or customer know how much you worked on this translation memory, you can export your report and the result of your QA check. And also another nice little change, that if you have seen these severity levels on the QA settings pane, which I will just show you quickly. Here we go. Here's this severity, where you can decide if a warning is a warning, or if it's an error. An error means that you will not be able to export the project, or you cannot hand it back. So it's more severe. But now the change is, this is not new, but the change is that here every error and warning code appears now, and not just those that are enabled in the settings, but if you want to only see those, that you can check this checkbox here. I think this makes work a little bit more convenient. If you use one QA setting, you don't have to change everything all the time. And this is the last improvement I wanted to show to you, and I really hope that they will be of help, and that you will enjoy these, and that also you will give them a try, especially the new memoQ Web PM. And thank you for your attention, and I think now it's time for questions, which you can submit. Maybe Damien will tell you, but you can submit in the chat, I think, but he will let you know.
Yes, so Thank you, Agnes, for your great presentation. So you have two questions in the Q&A panel.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen any in the chat yet, so maybe it will come soon.
Oh, okay. So I will read. The first one is for the PM features in the web interface, is the resource console also available? And when importing documents, is it possible to configure the filter settings? The resource console is not available yet. So the resources are only for translation memories and term bases. That's a small version now of the resource console. And importing, is it possible? Yes, you can configure the filter settings. Or since filter settings, you mean that just configure them, create filter settings? We need to see this. Or I will read the rest of the questions and then go to live. Are the changes to the discussion feature cosmetic only, or are there feature changes as well? There are some changes, more like structural, that there are more, the boards are with a different logic. Increased character limit. I don't know about these changes. There might be assigned to group. I'm not sure about this, but we will look these up and ask the designers if something has changed in this area, and then we will write the answers in email. Do you have a timeline for the redesign of memoQ web trends? I don't think we have any kind of deadline that when it will be done, but it's surely in the pipeline. So it will be the next thing. What's the final price? Any discount, and where can you get it? I think you need to go to sales with this question. You can find, maybe I think Damien can help you more with this question. And you can find the email addresses on the website, and you can also write in the little chat box to our little chat robot on the website. You have installed, it is called, yes. Oh, okay, the versioning. I don't know, Damien, does everyone see these questions?
The Q&A, no, I am not sure. I don't think so.
Okay, then I read it more clearly, because I had the impression that people can see it. So I have installed a new version, but notice it is called 9.0.8. I thought it was 9.0. Yes, it is 9.0. This is the 9 is the major version, the second number is the minor, and the third number is called the build number, which is our updates. When we fix bugs, then we always increase this version. So when we create a new version, then this number is increased, but it doesn't count as a new version. So 9.0.8 and 9.0.14 are still the same minor version, the same version of memoQ. And every time we release a maintenance release, like where we fix bugs, this number will be increased. Maybe not by one, sometimes it's increased by more numbers, depending on how we do the internal testing. Okay, installing the new version, it will not. No, if you install a new version, you can choose if you can install several versions at the same time, or you can install a version upon the old one, and it will not affect any usability of your data or TMs, TBs, whatever. So you will be able to use everything in the same way in the memoQ client. memoQ server is a different thing. That's why I talked about compatibility there. So yes, now there's a little pause, so we can go to the filter settings in memoQ Web PM. Here we go, and I think you wanted to know if we want to import. So this is a kind of resource console at this moment now. But here we are. We were at the projects. We were in this project called webinar and translations, and I just have a import documents. I will import this one. And you can change the filter configurations, but I also want to check if you can actually add new filter configurations. So here you can change, so you can see whatever you have in your memoQ server, you can choose that one. So here you can change it. I haven't added anything to the memoQ server, so I only have the default ones. But as far as I can see, you cannot create a new filter configuration. You have to do that in your memoQ client on the server. Okay, QTerm hasn't really changed a lot. So QTerm doesn't look like this. QTerm is the old QTerm. Just a second. So the question was, can you quickly show QTerm? And then next question is, the import document dialog has been updated as per your demonstration. Is it now possible to perform a re-import and monolingual review for multiple languages at once? Re-import will work for several documents. I wonder if you mean from the, if you want to like right click or select several documents, which is probably not. So here we have the translations. So you can re-import in several monolingual review, which I don't have the files now, which I can check. The import is, if you want to choose import here, and then you choose your documents this way. And then what I have shown that you can do the re-import here. You can choose if you want to re-import, and if here are the Word files, or the same, and then you can choose re-import for all of them, as you can see in batch. So hopefully this answers your question. And then you can check monolingual review. Okay. Next, what are the risks for cloud server users once the cloud servers are updated in July? We have a big project ongoing that will last from next week. Well, at the moment I don't see any risks like this, because it just the client updates, if that you consider a risk. Because with the memoQ 8.7 and 9, there is no compatibility, unfortunately, yet. But I don't know any kind of risk that you can prepare for, apart from the usual things. Okay. Next one is, and Gracia, hello. There is a trial for memoQ 9 or a release date for trials? Yes, you can already download memoQ 9. So now I already downloaded this from the website, both the server and also the client. And then you can, if you are a server user, you can get in touch with sales. If you're a client user, you can try. Or if you already have your contracted, you can just do it as usual.
So we have other questions in the chat.
Oh, in the chat. Okay, I haven't looked at the chat.
One of them is: Are you considering modernizing the client interface anytime soon?
We keep modernizing it all the time. So it's a huge interface, and we keep going step by step as we have resources to do it. We obviously have to add new things, which also take away our resources, and then we keep revamping, like you see in this import options in the filter configuration window. So this is one step. At one point, we revamped the project list window and the document list window. So we always do this step by step. Obviously, this will not work in one go. And we usually do the things first that you see the most often, and maybe keep the dialogues that you hardly ever use as last. So we keep doing this. There's always room for hope. But maybe by the time we get to the end, then we can restart it, because something that's new now will get outdated as we can see changes are really fast nowadays.
So we have another question that is, I would like to know if the freelance version has also the QA report section.
Sorry, can you repeat this question?
Oh, yes, sorry. I would like to know if the freelance version has also the QA report section.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Oh, you mean not the PM? So you mean not the client version, but the freelance version?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yes. Whatever you have in the QA, you can also do. Like whatever if you had this option to export the QA report from documents, now you can do this from translation memories as well. Unfortunately, I have this PM version, and I'm not familiar what is in only the freelance version. But if you could export reports from documents, then now you can export reports from translation memories as well. That's for sure. Oh, okay. I can see some questions, but do you go in order, Damien, on the questions?
Yes, so yes, I was going in order. Maybe you would like to.
Yes, you can. No problem.
So the next question is, when can you expect updates to WebTrans as well?
Yes. We don't know when, but it's next in the pipeline. But it's huge work. So this was big work. Even the PM and WebTrans will also be big work, but it's in the pipeline, so it's coming. It's coming.
So the next one, the project you made, you are working on. The project you made, you are working on from the point of view of a project manager initially, right?
Yes, if it was on the web, then yes, it was the project manager point of view. In the memoQ client, what I showed you, this configuration options, it's there in all the versions of the client, and also the machine translated segments, also the term-based results. These are all there in the client. And this configuration options window was also quite a big piece of work.
So next one, do you support memoQ plugin as machine translation?
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to read the questions. Can you repeat this question?
Sorry. Do you support memoQ plugin as machine translation?
My memory.
memoQ.
My memory plugin is not a machine translation. Is a translation memory plugin. So if you go, I just closed this window, and if you go to the resource console, sorry, you have to go to options, and here you see the terminology plugins, and here you see the TM plugins. So these are different plugins than the machine translation plugins, and here, yes, it is here still.
Okay, so next question. Any plans to update the GUI of memoQ so that it finally becomes consistent?
Yes, I think I answered that we keep updating it. Yeah, we keep updating it. Okay, search in TMs. I can read this now that it's not possible to filter the translation memories that you are interested in. Yeah, you can filter some, but the filtering is, yes, limited. This is a new something. We are collecting all these requests that you need, and if there's real need for many people, then we are going to do these improvements. We have a website that also probably Damien knows more about, where we are collecting your requests, and you can submit these kinds of things there.
Yes, so we can.
I think we can write this in the email.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to propose.
Oh, okay.
So we have time for last question.
Okay, this is feature request. The next one is the Druid antidote. Also, please submit. Yeah. Yes, QA reports from translation memory. It is different in the way that in the old version you could only export the QA results from your documents, but you can also check your translation memories. And if you go to your set, or if you want to do a QA, and here you can check translation memory, and this is what you can choose here. You can export QA to this location. Previously, this only worked for documents. Okay, I think this was the last question. TM filter is already there.
Yes, I think we are running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and thank you again, Agnes, for this presentation. So for those of you who asked questions but couldn't get the reply, don't worry, because we'll send the answers to every question by email, as well as the recording of the webinar. So thank you again, and see you next time to our next webinars.
Thank you everyone for listening, and have fun with memoQ and take delight in your work. Thank you.